Picture a vast African savanna at twilight. The golden light stretches across endless grasslands, painting everything in warm amber tones. In the distance, a herd of zebras grazes peacefully, their stripes creating mesmerizing patterns as they move. But beneath this serene surface, an ancient drama is unfolding. Hidden in the tall grass, a lioness watches, her muscles coiled like springs, her amber eyes locked on a single target. This is not a scene of violence waiting to happen. This is life itself, playing out in its most fundamental form. This is the eternal dance between hunter and hunted, predator and prey, a relationship that has shaped every ecosystem on Earth for hundreds of millions of years. Welcome to Bedtime Biology, where science meets serenity. Each night, we explore the quiet wonders of the natural world, calming your mind and sparking your curiosity. Please like the video, subscribe for more like this, and comment below with where you're checking in from. Tonight, we journey into one of nature's most captivating relationships, the delicate and intricate balance between predator and prey. This is not simply a story of violence and survival, though those elements certainly exist. Rather, it is a tale of adaptation and counter-adaptation, of evolutionary ingenuity on both sides of an ancient equation. It is a story written in the shapes of bodies, the colors of coats, the chemistry of toxins, and the intricate behaviors passed down through countless generations. As we explore this topic together, you'll discover that the predator-prey relationship is far more complex, far more beautiful, and far more essential to the health of our planet than you might ever have imagined. The dance begins, understanding the relationship. Before we delve into the specific strategies and adaptations, let's take a moment to understand what we mean when we talk about predator-prey relationships. At its most basic level, a predator is an organism that hunts, kills, and consumes another organism for food. The prey is the organism being hunted. Simple enough, right? But as with so many things in nature, the reality is infinitely more nuanced. When most people think of predators, they picture the dramatic hunters, the lions, tigers, wolves, and eagles that dominate wildlife documentaries. These are indeed predators, but they represent only a fraction of the predatory world. A dragonfly hunting mosquitoes over a pond is a predator. A Venus flytrap snapping shut on an unsuspecting insect is a predator. Even the humble ladybug, devouring aphids on a rosebush, is engaging in predation. The relationship scales from the microscopic to the massive, from bacteria hunting other bacteria to orcas hunting whales. What makes predator-prey relationships so fascinating to scientists is that they represent one of the most powerful forces shaping evolution. Think about it this way. For a predator, every failed hunt might mean the difference between eating and starving, between reproducing and dying without offspring. For prey, every encounter with a predator is potentially fatal. These are the highest possible stakes. There is no stronger selective pressure in nature than life or death itself. Over millions of years, this pressure has sculpted both predators and prey into increasingly specialized forms, creating what scientists call an evolutionary arms race. The beauty of this arms race is that neither side can ever truly win. If predators became so efficient that they caught every prey animal, they would soon run out of food and starve. If prey became so elusive that they never got caught, predator populations would crash, and the prey population would explode until they exhausted their own food resources and destroyed their habitat. Instead, nature has found a dynamic equilibrium, a constantly shifting balance where both predator and prey populations rise and fall in interconnected cycles. This balance is not just aesthetically pleasing to observe. It is functionally essential to healthy ecosystems. Predators control prey populations, preventing any single species from becoming so abundant that it damages the environment. In turn, this helps maintain plant diversity, which supports countless other species. When you remove predators from an ecosystem, the effects cascade through every level of the food web, often with devastating consequences. We'll explore this phenomenon in depth later in our journey tonight. The art of the hunt. Predator strategies. Let us begin our exploration by looking at the hunters themselves. Over hundreds of millions of years of evolution, predators have developed an astonishing array of hunting strategies, each finely tuned to their specific prey, habitat, and physical capabilities. These strategies fall into several broad categories, though, as we'll see, many predators are opportunistic and will employ different tactics depending on circumstances. Ambush predators, masters of patience. Some of nature's most successful hunters barely move at all. Ambush predators have perfected the art of patience, waiting motionless for prey to come within striking distance before launching a sudden, explosive attack. This strategy conserves energy and can be devastatingly effective when prey is abundant enough to ensure that something will eventually wander within range. Consider the crocodile, one of Earth's most ancient and successful ambush predators. Crocodiles have remained virtually unchanged for millions of years, a testament to the effectiveness of their hunting strategy. A large Nile crocodile might spend hours lying in shallow water near a game trail, only its eyes and nostrils breaking the surface. To passing animals, it looks like nothing more than a log floating in the water. But every sense is alert. The crocodile can feel vibrations in the water, detect the faintest movements on the shore, and see approaching prey with remarkable clarity despite its partially submerged position. When an unsuspecting antelope or zebra approaches the water's edge to drink, the crocodile remains motionless. Prey animals are wary, they know water sources are dangerous. They scan the area, listen for threats, move cautiously, but the crocodile's camouflage and stillness make it nearly invisible. The moment the animal lowers its head to drink, the crocodile explodes into action. Despite their bulk, crocodiles can accelerate with shocking speed over short distances. The attack is over in seconds. Powerful jaws clamp down on the prey, and the crocodile uses its enormous strength to pull the animal into deeper water, where it has every advantage. What makes ambush predators so effective is not just their patience, but their intimate knowledge of prey behavior. They position themselves where prey must come, whether that's a watering hole in the African savanna or a gap in coral reef where fish must swim through. They understand the patterns of movement, the times of day when prey is most vulnerable, the subtle cues that indicate an animal has let down its guard. Ambush predation is not limited to large, impressive predators. The praying mantis employs a similar strategy in miniature. Camouflaged to blend perfectly with leaves or flowers, a mantis can remain motionless for hours, its spiked forelegs folded in a posture that gives the insect its name. When an unsuspecting fly or bee comes within range, the mantis strikes with incredible speed. High-speed cameras have revealed that a mantis can extend its forelegs and capture prey in as little as 50 to 70 milliseconds, faster than the blink of a human eye. Snakes, too, are masters of the ambush. Pit vipers, which include rattlesnakes and copperheads, have heat-sensing organs that allow them to detect warm-blooded prey even in total darkness. A rattlesnake might coil next to a rodent trail, using its cryptic coloration to blend with rocks or leaf litter and simply wait. When a mouse passes by, the snake's heat sensors detect its body warmth. The strike is lightning fast. Hollow fangs inject venom, and then the snake doesn't even need to maintain its grip. It simply waits for the venom to take effect, then follows the chemical trail left by the dying animal to locate its meal. Lions, despite their reputation as pursuit predators, actually rely heavily on ambush tactics. Male lions, in particular, have been shown to prefer ambush hunting over pursuit. Research has revealed that male lions specifically select areas with dense vegetation for hunting, using the cover to get as close as possible to prey before launching their attack. Their hunting strategy is fundamentally different from the coordinated pursuits often led by lionesses in open terrain. Males use their size and strength in short, powerful charges from concealment, capitalizing on the element of surprise rather than stamina. The ambush strategy requires specific adaptations beyond just patience. Successful ambush predators typically have excellent camouflage, allowing them to blend seamlessly into their environment. They possess extremely acute senses to detect approaching prey. Many have specialized body structures for explosive acceleration, strong jaws or talons for quickly subduing prey, and often venom or other methods to quickly incapacitate their catch. They must be able to remain motionless for extended periods without cramping or losing alertness. Pursuit. Predators. The relentless chase. In contrast to the patient ambush hunter, pursuit predators have evolved for the chase. These are the marathon runners and sprinters of the predator world, animals that rely on speed, stamina, or both to run down their prey. Pursuit predation requires a completely different set of adaptations than ambush hunting, and it reflects a fundamentally different evolutionary strategy. The cheetah represents the ultimate expression of pursuit predation, optimized for pure speed. Every aspect of a cheetah's body has been modified for velocity. Its lightweight build, small head, and enlarged nasal passages all serve to maximize speed while minimizing weight. The cheetah's spine is extraordinarily flexible, allowing it to extend and contract like a spring with each stride, effectively lengthening its running gait. Its claws don't fully retract like those of other cats, providing extra traction like the cleats on running shoes. Even the cheetah's spotted coat serves its hunting strategy, the pattern breaking up its outline as it moves through tall grass, making it harder for prey to judge its speed and distance. A hunting cheetah is one of nature's most spectacular sights. After spotting potential prey, often a gazelle or impala, the cheetah begins its approach with a slow, stalking walk. This isn't ambush hunting. The prey usually sees the cheetah, but the cat is trying to close the distance before breaking into its famous sprint. When the cheetah judges the moment right, it explodes into motion. Within 3 seconds, it can reach speeds of 60 miles per hour. At full sprint, a cheetah can hit 70 miles per hour, making it the fastest land animal on Earth. But this incredible speed comes with a cost. Cheetahs can only maintain their top velocity for about 20 to 30 seconds before they overheat. Their hunt is essentially a sprint, not a marathon. If the prey can evade the cheetah for just half a minute, the predator must give up, exhausted and overheated. This is why cheetahs are actually relatively unsuccessful hunters. Success rates hover around 50%, and many chases end in failure when the prey manages to zigzag unexpectedly or maintain its own speed just long enough for the cheetah to give up. Wolves represent a different approach to pursuit predation. Rather than relying on explosive speed, wolves are built for endurance. A wolf can maintain a steady trot of about 5 miles per hour for hours without tiring, and can sustain speeds of 25 to 35 miles per hour for extended periods during a chase. This stamina allows wolves to employ what researchers call persistence hunting, wearing down prey that might be faster in a sprint but cannot maintain their pace. What makes wolves particularly formidable is that they rarely hunt alone. Pack hunting adds a whole new dimension to pursuit predation. Wolf packs, typically consisting of a mated pair and their offspring, work together with remarkable coordination. Research has shown that successful wolf hunts often involve sophisticated spatial positioning, though scientists debate whether this represents conscious strategy or emerges from simple rules followed by individual wolves. Here's how a typical wolf hunt might unfold. The pack has located a herd of elk. First comes the approach, the wolves moving relatively openly toward the herd. This isn't stealth, it's a test. The elk scatter, and the wolves watch carefully. They're looking for any animal that moves differently from the others, any sign of weakness, age, injury, or illness. Healthy adult elk are formidable opponents with sharp hooves, capable of killing a wolf with a single kick. The pack needs to identify vulnerable targets. Once a target is selected, the chase begins. Individual wolves may take turns leading the pursuit, allowing the others to conserve energy. Some wolves might attempt to cut off the elk's escape routes, while others maintain direct pursuit. The chase can last for miles. As the elk tires, the wolves close in, working from multiple angles. The actual kill is dangerous. Even a weakened elk will fight for its life, and wolves can be seriously injured or killed in the final struggle. But by working together, the pack increases its chances of success while minimizing risk to any individual wolf. African wild dogs, also called painted wolves, take pack hunting to perhaps its highest level of efficiency. These endangered predators have the highest hunting success rate of any large predator, estimated at between 60 and 90%. Their packs operate with military precision. Before a hunt, the pack engages in an elaborate greeting ceremony, a ritual of touching, vocalizing, and social interaction that seems to coordinate the group and ensure all members are alert and ready. During the hunt, African wild dogs demonstrate remarkable endurance and coordination. They can maintain speeds of 35 to 40 miles per hour for several miles, and their hunts often involve complex maneuvers where different pack members take different roles. Some dogs lead the chase, others cut off escape routes, and still others position themselves for the final attack. Communication during the hunt is constant, with the dogs using a variety of vocalizations to stay coordinated. What's particularly remarkable about African wild dogs is their social structure around hunting. Unlike many pack hunters, where dominant individuals get the best portions of a kill, wild dog pups actually eat first. Adults will regurgitate food for pups that weren't present at the kill, and will also feed injured or sick pack members. This cooperative ethic extends beyond hunting to every aspect of their social lives, making them one of the most cooperative mammal species on Earth. Pursuit predation requires adaptations quite different from ambush hunting. Pursuit predators need long, powerful limbs for speed or endurance. They require large hearts and lungs to support sustained exertion. Many have specialized cooling systems, like the cheetah's enlarged nasal passages, to manage the heat generated during a chase. In pack hunters, sophisticated communication and the cognitive ability to coordinate with others become crucial adaptations. Cooperative hunting, strength in numbers. Pack hunting deserves special attention because it represents one of nature's most sophisticated predatory strategies. When we observe wolves, lions, or wild dogs hunting cooperatively, we're witnessing behavior that requires remarkable cognitive abilities. The capacity to anticipate the actions of both prey and packmates, to communicate rapidly and effectively, and to coordinate movements toward a common goal. The evolution of pack hunting raises fascinating questions. Did it emerge because it allowed predators to take down larger prey than they could handle individually? Or did it evolve primarily as a way to provision offspring, with the pack essentially being an extended family? Research suggests both factors play a role, and the balance between them varies among different species. Lions provide an excellent example. A pride of lions is primarily composed of related females and their offspring, plus one or more adult males who have taken over the pride from previous males. Lionesses do most of the hunting, and they often cooperate in sophisticated ways. Research has shown that during hunts, different lionesses may take on different roles. Some act as wings, spreading out to drive prey toward others who wait in position as centers. The centers are often larger, heavier lionesses who can more effectively bring down prey once it's been directed toward them. But here's what's fascinating. Despite this apparent role specialization, genetic analysis reveals that all lionesses in a pride are closely related, often sisters, mothers and daughters, or aunts and nieces. In evolutionary terms, helping a close relative successfully hunt and raise cubs is almost as good as raising your own cubs, because you share so much genetic material. This is called kin selection, and it helps explain why cooperative hunting could evolve, even when some individuals contribute more to hunts than others. Communication plays a crucial role in pack hunting. Wolves use an array of vocalizations, from howls that can carry for miles to communicate pack location, to barks and growls during hunts. But they also communicate extensively through body language, the position of ears and tail, the angle of approach to prey, even subtle shifts in running pace. This allows for coordination without vocalization, which is essential when stealth is important. Some of the most sophisticated pack hunting occurs in marine environments. Orcas, or killer whales, have developed hunting strategies so complex and culturally specific that different populations have different techniques passed down through generations. Off the coast of Argentina, orcas have learned to deliberately strand themselves on beaches to catch sea lion pups, a dangerous technique that requires precise timing and local knowledge of tides and beach topography. Young orcas must watch and learn for years before attempting this maneuver. Other orca populations have mastered the art of wave washing, where they create waves to knock seals off ice floes. Still, others cooperate to hunt the largest prey on Earth, blue whales and other great whales. In these hunts, different orcas take specific roles, some harassing the whale to tire it, others focusing on the flukes to prevent diving, still others targeting the head and blowhole. These culturally transmitted hunting techniques represent some of the most complex predatory behavior known in nature. What we see in cooperative hunting is that it's not just about catching more food. Pack hunting also has profound social dimensions. It reinforces bonds between pack members. It provides opportunities for young animals to learn essential skills. In species with complex social hierarchies, it creates dynamics of cooperation and sometimes competition that shape the entire structure of how these animals live. The intelligence required for effective pack hunting should not be underestimated. While some researchers argue that what looks like complex coordination might emerge from simple rules followed by individuals, the cumulative effect is nonetheless remarkable. Whether through conscious strategy or evolved behavioral algorithms, pack hunters achieve levels of success that would be impossible for solitary predators. The Great Escape: Prey Defenses. Now let's turn our attention to the other half of this ancient equation, the prey. If predators have evolved increasingly effective ways to hunt, prey have been under equally intense pressure to avoid being caught. The result is an astounding diversity of defensive strategies, each fascinating in its own right, each testimony to the creative power of natural selection. Camouflage, the art of disappearing. Perhaps the most widespread defensive strategy among prey species is camouflage, the ability to blend into one's surroundings so effectively that predators simply don't see you. Camouflage comes in several distinct forms, each adapted to different environments and predator sensory systems. The most straightforward type is background matching, where an animal's coloration closely resembles the predominant colors and patterns in its habitat. Think of a snowshoe hare in winter, its fur pure white against the snow, nearly invisible until it moves. The same animal in summer has brown fur that blends with earth and vegetation. This seasonal color change is an adaptation to the dramatically different backgrounds of the northern forests where these hares live. But truly effective camouflage goes beyond simple color matching. Many camouflaged animals also possess patterns that break up their outline, making it harder for predators to recognize them as prey, even when they're in plain sight. This is called disruptive coloration. The spotted coat of a fawn, lying motionless in dappled forest undergrowth, doesn't look like a deer. It looks like patches of light and shadow. The stripes of a tiger, counterintuitively, make the massive cat less visible in tall grass by breaking up its distinctive body shape. Recent research has revealed that some prey species show remarkable cognitive abilities in using camouflage effectively. Certain crab species have been observed decorating their shells with local seaweed and debris, actively matching themselves to their specific environment. More remarkably, experiments have shown that some of these crabs increase their decoration efforts when they detect chemical cues indicating predators are nearby, suggesting they have some awareness of when camouflage is most important. Then there's masquerade, a strategy where an animal doesn't just blend with the background, but actively mimics a specific object that predators have no interest in. The caterpillar that looks exactly like a bird dropping has perfected this strategy. What predator wants to eat feces? Similarly, stick insects and leaf insects don't just match the colors of twigs and leaves. They mimic the shape, texture, and even the way these objects move in wind. Research has shown that masquerade is actually more effective than simple background matching, perhaps because it causes predators to actively misidentify the prey as an inedible object, rather than simply failing to detect it. The effectiveness of camouflage varies depending on the predator's sensory capabilities. Visual camouflage works excellently against predators that hunt primarily by sight, like hawks or cats. But it's less effective against predators that rely heavily on smell or hearing. This is why many camouflaged prey species also have behavioral adaptations to minimize sound and scent. A hiding rabbit remains absolutely motionless, not just to avoid being seen, but also to avoid creating vibrations or air currents that might give away its position. Some prey have taken camouflage to extraordinary lengths by being able to change their appearance rapidly. Cuttlefish and octopuses can alter their skin color and texture in seconds, matching whatever background they find themselves against. This ability comes from specialized cells in their skin called chromatophores, which contain different colored pigments and can expand or contract to show or hide those colors. The speed and precision of this color change is so remarkable that researchers are attempting to develop military camouflage technology inspired by these animals. Chameleons are famous for changing color, though contrary to popular belief, they don't do this primarily for camouflage, but rather for communication and temperature regulation. However, some species do use color change defensively, adopting colors that help them blend with specific backgrounds when threatened. Transparency is another form of camouflage used in aquatic environments. Many planktonic animals, from tiny crustaceans to jellyfish, are nearly transparent, making them almost invisible in the water column. This strategy is particularly effective in open water, where there's no background to hide against. Being see-through means there's simply nothing for a predator's visual system to lock onto. Warning coloration, the bold strategy. While many prey species invest in being invisible, others have taken the opposite approach. These animals advertise their presence with bright, contrasting colors that say, in essence, "Don't eat me, I'm dangerous." This strategy, called aposematism, seems counterintuitive until you understand the logic behind it. The classic example is the poison dart frog. These tiny frogs from Central and South American rainforests come in brilliant colors, electric blues, vivid oranges, shocking reds. They're some of the most conspicuous animals in their environment, almost seeming to glow against the green foliage. But that visibility serves a crucial purpose. These frogs are among the most toxic animals on Earth. Their skin secretes powerful alkaloid toxins that can paralyze or kill predators. A bird that tries to eat one will quickly learn, usually through an intensely unpleasant but non-fatal experience, never to attempt eating anything with those colors again. Here's what makes aposematism work. It's a system of teaching predators. Young, inexperienced predators may attack aposematic prey, but the experience is so negative that they quickly learn to avoid any animal displaying those warning colors. This learned avoidance is then remembered, sometimes for the predator's entire life. The bright colors act as a memory aid, making it easy for predators to recall and recognize the dangerous prey. The color combinations used in warning coloration are not random. Research has shown that certain color patterns are more effective than others at being remembered and avoided. Red, yellow, orange, and black are the most common warning colors. These colors create high contrast, especially against green foliage, and are easily visible under a variety of lighting conditions. The patterns themselves, often stripes or spots, also aid in memorability. Monarch butterflies provide a well-studied example of aposematism. Their distinctive orange and black pattern warns predators that they're unpalatable. The toxins in monarchs come from the milkweed plants they eat as caterpillars. Birds that attempt to eat monarchs experience strong digestive distress and quickly learn to avoid anything with that color pattern. This learned avoidance creates an interesting opportunity for deception, which brings us to mimicry. If predators avoid animals with certain warning colors, what's to stop a perfectly tasty, non-toxic species from adopting those same colors to gain protection? This is called Batesian mimicry, named after naturalist Henry Walter Bates, who first described it in detail. The viceroy butterfly looks remarkably similar to the monarch. For decades, scientists believed the viceroy was a Batesian mimic, a harmless imposter trading on the monarch's bad reputation. However, more recent research has shown that viceroys are actually distasteful in their own right, making this a case of Müllerian mimicry, where two or more toxic species evolve to resemble each other. The advantage is that predators only need to have one bad experience to learn to avoid all species with that color pattern, distributing the cost of teaching predators across multiple species. Batesian mimicry does exist throughout nature, however. Hoverflies, which are completely harmless, often have bold yellow and black stripes that make them look remarkably like wasps or bees. The mimicry even extends to behavior, with hoverflies buzzing in a manner similar to their dangerous models. A bird that's been stung by a wasp will avoid not just wasps, but also these harmless imposters. Warning coloration and mimicry create fascinating evolutionary dynamics. For Batesian mimicry to work, the mimics must remain relatively rare compared to the genuinely dangerous model species. If too many harmless mimics exist, predators will encounter them more often than the real thing, and the learned avoidance will break down. This sets up a complex balancing act maintained by natural selection. Some animals have warning coloration that's conditional. The frilled lizard of Australia normally has cryptic coloration, but when threatened, it unfurls a large ruff around its neck, revealing bright orange skin and creating an intimidating display. This is called diamatic behavior, a startle display designed to make a predator pause long enough for the prey to escape. The lizard isn't actually dangerous, but the sudden transformation from small, brown, and uninteresting to large, colourful, and alarming can buy crucial seconds. The need for speed. When camouflage fails and warning coloration isn't an option, many prey species rely on the most straightforward defense. Don't be there when the predator arrives. Speed and agility are among the most common defensive adaptations, and they've led to some of the most spectacular displays of athletic prowess in the animal kingdom. The pronghorn antelope of North America is the second fastest land animal in the world, capable of sustained speeds over 50 miles per hour. What's interesting is that there's currently no predator in North America fast enough to require such speed. The pronghorn's velocity is actually an evolutionary relic. It evolved during the Pleistocene, when the American cheetah, a predator capable of speeds rivaling the African cheetah, roamed the continent. The American cheetah went extinct about 12,000 years ago, but the pronghorn's speed remains, a ghost of predators past. Gazelles and impalas have evolved not just for straight-line speed, but for incredible agility. When fleeing from a predator, these animals perform a behavior called stotting or pronking, where they leap high into the air with all four legs held stiff. For years, scientists debated the purpose of this behavior, which seems to slow the animal down during an escape. The current explanation is that stotting is actually a signal to the predator, communicating, "I'm so fit and healthy that I can afford to waste energy on these leaps. Don't bother chasing me, I'll easily outrun you." Research supports this interpretation. Predators like cheetahs and wild dogs are more likely to abandon pursuits of prey that stot vigorously. The behavior seems to be an honest signal. Animals in poor condition don't stot as much or as high because they can't afford the energy expenditure. By demonstrating their fitness, healthy animals can sometimes avoid a chase altogether, saving energy for both predator and prey. Fish have evolved perhaps the most impressive escapes in terms of pure acceleration. When a pike or other predatory fish strikes, small fish like minnows can accelerate away at rates exceeding 100 body lengths per second. In human terms, this would be like accelerating from 0 to 200 miles per hour in a fraction of a second. The physics of moving through water makes such acceleration possible, and it often means the difference between life and death. Escape behaviors often involve more than just speed. Many prey species have evolved specific escape trajectories, optimized for evading particular predators. Rabbits fleeing from foxes run in zigzag patterns, constantly changing direction. This makes it difficult for the pursuing predator to anticipate where the rabbit will be and to adjust its own trajectory accordingly. The energy cost is significant, but it's better than being caught. Flying offers obvious defensive advantages, and many insects, birds, and bats use flight as their primary escape mechanism. But flight has evolved different defensive characteristics in different species. Moths facing bat predation have evolved erratic flight patterns that make them difficult to track via echolocation. Some moths can even detect the ultrasonic calls bats use for echolocation, and will immediately dive or fly erratically when they hear these calls. Burrowing provides another form of escape. Prairie dogs live in extensive underground tunnel systems with multiple entrances and exits. When a hawk or coyote appears, prairie dogs can quickly dive into the nearest burrow entrance. The tunnel systems are complex enough that a predator cannot easily follow, and multiple exits mean that even if a predator waits at one entrance, the prairie dog can emerge elsewhere. Sensory warfare, the hidden dimension. The predator-prey relationship plays out across all sensory modalities. While we tend to focus on what we can see, the chase often happens in dimensions we can barely perceive, through chemical cues, ultrasonic sounds, vibrations, and electromagnetic fields. The predator's arsenal predators have evolved extraordinary sensory capabilities to detect and track prey. These adaptations often far exceed human sensory abilities, allowing predators to hunt in conditions where we would be effectively blind, deaf, and lost. Vision in many predatory birds reaches levels that seem almost supernatural to us. A hawk soaring 2,000 feet above a field can spot a mouse moving through grass. This is not just about magnification, though raptors do have exceptional visual acuity. It's also about specialized adaptations. Many predatory birds have two foveas in each eye, regions of dense photoreceptor cells that provide exceptional detail. One fovea provides forward vision for depth perception during the strike, while the other provides peripheral vision for scanning while soaring. Cats, both domestic and wild, have eyes adapted for hunting in low light. their pupils can dilate much wider than ours, allowing more light to enter. Behind the retina, cats have a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum that bounces light back through the photoreceptor cells, effectively giving them 2 chances to capture each photon. This is what makes cats' eyes seem to glow when light hits them at night. The trade-off is that cats actually have poorer vision than humans in bright light and cannot see colours as vividly as we do. But at dawn, dusk, and night, when many prey species are active, cats see far better than their prey. Hearing becomes the dominant sense for many nocturnal predators. Owls have perhaps the most sophisticated auditory hunting system in the bird world. Their facial discs, those flat, heart-shaped faces, so characteristic of owls, actually function like satellite dishes, collecting sound and focusing it toward their ear openings. The ear openings themselves are asymmetrically placed on the skull, one higher than the other. This asymmetry allows owls to locate prey with incredible precision in 3-dimensional space, using sound alone. A barn owl in complete darkness can strike a mouse with perfect accuracy, based solely on the sounds the mouse makes moving through grass. Snakes have evolved multiple sensory systems for detecting prey. While their vision is generally good, many species also rely heavily on chemical detection. Snakes constantly flick their tongues, collecting chemical particles from the air. The tongue is then inserted into the Jacobson's organ in the roof of the mouth, which analyzes the chemicals. This allows snakes to follow chemical trails left by prey animals. Some snakes can track prey for hours or even days by following these trails. Pit vipers, including rattlesnakes, copperheads, and cottonmouths, possess an additional sense that seems almost like science fiction: infrared detection. Between the eye and nostril on each side of the head, these snakes have a pit organ containing a membrane sensitive to infrared radiation, essentially heat. These organs are so sensitive they can detect temperature differences of just a few thousandths of a degree. A pit viper hunting at night can see the warm silhouette of a mouse against the cool background, allowing it to strike with precision in total darkness. Sharks are apex predators of the ocean, and they employ a sensory system unfamiliar to terrestrial animals: electroreception. Through specialized organs called ampullae of Lorenzini, sharks can detect the tiny electrical fields produced by the muscle contractions of prey animals. This sense is so acute that sharks can find flatfish buried in sand, hidden from sight, smell, and sound, by detecting the electrical activity of their breathing and heartbeat. All living creatures produce electrical fields, and to a shark, these fields are as visible as a beacon. The electrical sense also helps sharks navigate using Earth's magnetic field, though scientists are still unraveling the details of how this works. For our purposes, what's important is that sharks are hunting in a sensory landscape we can barely imagine, detecting prey through a sense we don't possess. Prey, counterintelligence. Of course, prey animals haven't remained passive in the face of these formidable predatory senses. They've evolved their own sophisticated counter-strategies and, in some cases, ways to detect predators before being detected themselves. Many prey species have eyes positioned on the sides of their heads rather than facing forward. This gives them nearly 360-degree vision, allowing them to watch for predators in almost all directions simultaneously. Deer, rabbits, and horses all possess this adaptation. The trade-off is poorer depth perception and lower visual acuity compared to predators with forward-facing eyes. But the ability to detect an approaching threat from any direction is often more valuable than seeing detail. Some prey have evolved specific adaptations to counter particular predatory senses. Moths have evolved ultrasonic hearing specifically to detect the echolocation calls of hunting bats. When a moth hears a bat's sonar, it immediately takes evasive action, either dropping towards the ground in an unpredictable tumbling pattern or flying erratically in random directions. Some moths have gone further, evolving the ability to produce their own ultrasonic clicks that may jam the bat's echolocation system or warn the bat that the moth is distasteful. Chemical concealment provides defense against predators that hunt by smell. California ground squirrels face predation from rattlesnakes, which follow the squirrel's scent trails. Some populations of these squirrels have evolved a remarkable counter-strategy. They find shed rattlesnake skin, chew it up, and then lick the chewed skin over their own fur. This masks their scent with that of their primary predator. Rattlesnakes, which use chemical sensing to identify prey and avoid other snakes, are confused by the ground squirrel's deceptive odor. Prey animals often possess early warning systems that alert them to danger well before a predator can strike. Deer have an extraordinary sense of smell and hearing, often detecting danger long before they can see it. A deer's large mobile ears can rotate independently to pinpoint sounds, while its nose can detect scents from remarkable distances. When a deer detects something suspicious, it doesn't immediately flee. Instead, it freezes, focusing all its attention on the potential threat, trying to gather more information. Only when danger is confirmed does the deer explode into motion. Many prey species live in groups, partly because multiple sets of eyes, ears, and noses are more effective at detecting danger than one set. In a herd of zebras, while some individuals are grazing with their heads down, others are always looking up, scanning the environment. This vigilance is shared among the group, allowing each individual to spend less time watching for danger and more time feeding. The larger the group, the lower the percentage of time any individual needs to spend on vigilance. Communication, spreading the word. When prey animals detect a predator, they often don't keep this information to themselves. Alarm calls serve to warn other group members of danger, giving everyone a better chance of escape. But alarm calling raises an interesting question. Why would an animal draw attention to itself by making noise when a predator is near? The answer involves both individual and group selection. In many species, alarm callers are warning relatives, so helping kin survive, even at some risk to oneself, can be evolutionarily beneficial. Alarm calls also serve to notify the predator that it's been spotted, which may cause the predator to abandon its hunt, saving everyone, including the caller. What's fascinating is that many species have sophisticated alarm call systems that communicate specific information about the type and immediacy of the threat. Vervet monkeys are famous for having different alarm calls for different predators. They have a distinctive call for eagles, which causes the troop to look up and run for cover under dense vegetation. A different call warns of leopards, prompting the monkeys to climb higher into trees. Yet another call indicates a snake, causing the troop to stand on their hind legs and scan the ground around them. This level of sophistication suggests that alarm calls are not just reflexive screams of fear, but actually contain encoded information. Young vervets must learn the appropriate responses to each call, suggesting a cultural transmission of knowledge about predators. Prairie dogs have been shown to have remarkably complex alarm calls. Researchers have discovered that prairie dog alarm calls can communicate not just the type of predator, hawk, coyote, dog, human, but also characteristics like the predator's size, color, and speed of approach. This is essentially a simple language, with calls containing multiple pieces of information that other prairie dogs can decode and respond to appropriately. Alarm calls aren't limited to vocalizations. Many animals use visual signals. White-tailed deer flag with their tails, flashing the white underside when alarmed. This visual signal alerts other deer to danger, while possibly also signaling to the predator that it's been seen and pursuit is unlikely to succeed. Rabbits thump their powerful hind legs on the ground, creating vibrations that travel through burrow systems to warn others underground. Chemical alarm signals are used by many aquatic species. When a minnow is injured or attacked, its damaged skin releases alarm pheromones into the water. Other minnows detect these chemicals and immediately take cover. This system works even if the alarm-calling fish doesn't survive the attack, its death warning others in the area. The arms race, evolution's endless competition. We've now explored many specific adaptations in both predators and prey, but it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture. These adaptations didn't appear independently. They emerged through a process called coevolution, where evolutionary changes in one species drive evolutionary changes in another. In predator-prey relationships, this creates what scientists call an evolutionary arms race. The term arms race is borrowed from geopolitics, where competing nations continually develop more advanced weapons to gain advantage over each other. In nature, predators evolve increasingly effective hunting adaptations, which creates selection pressure for prey to evolve better defenses, which in turn selects for even better hunting adaptations in predators. And on the cycle continues through thousands or millions of generations. Here's a crucial insight. The arms race is asymmetric. This concept, sometimes called the life dinner principle, recognizes that predators and prey are playing for different stakes. For a predator, a failed hunt means a missed meal, an inconvenience certainly, but rarely fatal unless it happens repeatedly. For prey, a failed escape means death, every time. This difference means that selection pressure is actually stronger on prey than on predators. This might seem to suggest that prey should win the arms race, becoming so good at escape that predators can't catch them. But that's not what happens. Instead, this asymmetry helps explain why many prey animals have such elaborate and diverse defensive adaptations. It also explains why predators often focus on catching vulnerable individuals, the very young, the old, the sick, the isolated, rather than trying to catch healthy adults in their prime. Let's look at one of the best documented examples of predator-prey coevolution, the relationship between rough-skinned newts and garter snakes in the western United States. This system has become famous among evolutionary biologists as a clear example of an ongoing arms race. Rough-skinned newts produce a neurotoxin called tetrodotoxin in their skin. This is the same toxin found in pufferfish, and it's extraordinarily potent. A single newt can contain enough tetrodotoxin to kill an adult human. The toxin evolved as a defense against predators, most of which die or become seriously ill after attempting to eat a newt. But garter snakes in areas where these newts live have evolved resistance to tetrodotoxin. The snakes have modified sodium channels in their nerves that are less affected by the toxin. Snakes from these areas can eat newts that would kill snakes from other regions where newts aren't present. However, this resistance isn't complete. Newts in these same areas have, in turn, evolved even higher levels of toxin than newts in areas without resistant snakes. Researchers have found that toxin levels in newts and resistance levels in snakes vary geographically in a matching pattern. Where snakes are more resistant, newts are more toxic. This is exactly the pattern we'd expect to see in an ongoing co-evolutionary arms race, with each species continually evolving in response to the other. What's particularly interesting is that resistance comes with costs. Snakes with high tetrodotoxin resistance move more slowly than snakes without resistance. This makes sense. If the modifications that provide resistance also affect normal nerve function, there's a trade-off. In areas where newts are rare or less toxic, natural selection favors snakes without high resistance because they can move faster. But where newts are common and very toxic, the benefit of resistance outweighs the cost of slower movement. This is a general principle in evolutionary arms races. Adaptations come with costs. A prey animal that invests heavily in defensive weapons, like spines or toxins, may have less energy available for reproduction. A predator that develops highly specialized hunting adaptations may lose the ability to exploit other food sources. Natural selection is constantly balancing these trade-offs. Another well-studied co-evolutionary system involves bats and moths. This arms race plays out in the realm of sound and hearing. Bats hunt using echolocation, emitting ultrasonic pulses and listening for echoes that reveal the location of flying insects. Moths, a primary prey item for many bat species, have evolved ears specifically tuned to hear the ultrasonic frequencies bats use for echolocation. When a moth hears a bat's echolocation calls, it immediately takes evasive action. If the bat is far away, the moth simply flies in a different direction. If the calls are loud, indicating the bat is close, the moth goes into an erratic, evasive dive toward the ground. Some moths have evolved even more sophisticated defenses, producing their own ultrasonic clicks. These clicks may jam the bat's echolocation, warn the bat that the moth is distasteful, or startle the bat, causing it to break off its attack. Bats, in turn, have evolved counter-strategies. Some species have evolved quieter echolocation calls that are harder for moths to detect. Others vary the frequency of their calls, perhaps making it harder for moths to evolve hearing tuned to a specific frequency. The barbastel bat uses calls so quiet that it effectively reduces its detection range. But this is compensated by a much higher success rate against moths that don't hear it coming until it's too late. These examples illustrate that evolutionary arms races don't have winners and losers in any final sense. Instead, they create a dynamic balance where both predator and prey continue to evolve, with neither gaining a permanent, decisive advantage. The race continues indefinitely, or at least until one or both species goes extinct, or the ecological relationship between them changes. The concept of arms races helps us understand why there's so much diversity in anti-predator and predatory adaptations. Different lineages of predators and prey have been evolving in response to each other for millions of years, following different evolutionary paths based on their unique biology, ecology, and history. The result is the spectacular variety of forms and behaviors we see in nature today. It's also important to recognize that predator-prey arms races don't happen in isolation. Prey animals face multiple predators, each with different hunting strategies. Predators often hunt multiple types of prey. This creates a complex web of selection pressures rather than a simple one-on-one race. A prey animal might evolve defenses against one predator that make it more vulnerable to another. These multi-species interactions add further complexity to co-evolutionary dynamics. Strength in numbers, social defenses. Earlier, we discussed how predators benefit from hunting in groups, but prey animals also derive significant advantages from social living. Group living creates opportunities for defensive strategies that would be impossible for solitary animals. The most obvious benefit of living in a group is that there are more eyes, ears, and noses to watch for danger. This is called the many eyes effect, and it's one of the primary evolutionary drivers of social behavior in prey species. In a group of meerkats, for example, some individuals are always on sentry duty, standing upright and scanning the surroundings for predators while others forage. The sentries take turns, and when one spots danger, it gives a specific alarm call that sends the whole group diving into their burrows. But group living provides defenses beyond just better detection. There's also the dilution effect. When a predator attacks a group, it can usually only catch one individual. Therefore, the larger the group, the lower each individual's chance of being the one caught. If you're in a herd of 100 zebras and a lion attacks, you have a 1 in 100 chance of being targeted. In a herd of 10, your risk is 1 in 10. This creates an interesting dynamic. Prey animals often compete to be in the center of a group where they're most protected, with the individuals on the edges facing higher risk. This is called the selfish herd theory, proposed by evolutionary biologist W.D. Hamilton. According to this theory, herding behavior emerges not from altruism, but from each individual trying to use others as shields between itself and potential predators. The formation of tight groups when under threat is called the confusion effect. When predators face a dense mass of moving prey, it becomes difficult to single out and track a particular individual. The predator's visual system becomes overwhelmed by the many moving targets. Imagine trying to catch a specific fish in a massive school where thousands of fish are moving in synchronized patterns. Every time the predator focuses on one fish, it loses track of it among all the others. Fish schools and bird flocks take advantage of this confusion effect. When attacked, they often contract into tighter formations and execute synchronized maneuvers that make it nearly impossible for predators to maintain focus on individual prey. The synchronized movements aren't controlled by a leader. Instead, each individual is following simple rules about maintaining distance from neighbors and matching their speed and direction. These simple individual behaviors create complex, coordinated group dynamics that provide protection. Some prey animals take active collective defense even further. When African buffalo are threatened by lions, the herd may form a defensive circle with the calves in the middle and the adults facing outward, horns ready. A group of buffalo in this defensive formation is dangerous even for a pride of lions. The risk of injury is so high that predators will often look for easier targets. Mobbing behavior represents an offensive form of collective defense. When crows or jays spot a perched owl during the day, they don't just flee. Instead, they gather together and harass the owl, calling loudly and diving at it repeatedly. This serves multiple purposes. It alerts other prey in the area to the predator's presence, it may drive the predator out of the area, and it provides learning opportunities for young birds to identify predators. Owls are nocturnal hunters, so a perched owl during the day is relatively helpless against mobbing. Even small birds mob predators. Chickadees and other songbirds will mob and harass hawks, getting remarkably close to these dangerous predators. The mob usually doesn't harm the hawk, but the harassment may cause it to leave the area. The calls used during mobbing also serve an educational function, with young birds learning to recognize predators. Herd vigilance isn't just about having more sentries. It also allows each individual to spend less time being vigilant and more time doing other necessary activities like feeding. This is called vigilance sharing. In a study of ostriches, researchers found that birds in larger groups spent less time with their heads up, watching for danger, and more time with their heads down feeding. The trade-off is optimized automatically. Each bird adjusts its vigilance behavior based on what others in the group are doing. However, group living isn't free. Large groups are more conspicuous to predators, competition for food is intensified, and disease can spread more easily. The balance between the benefits of group living and its costs varies depending on the specific ecology of each species and their environment. Keystone predators, guardians of balance. Now it's time to look at predator-prey relationships from an ecosystem perspective. Some predators have such profound effects on their ecosystems that they're called keystone species. The term comes from architecture. A keystone is the central stone in an arch that holds all the other stones in place. Remove it, and the entire structure collapses. Keystone predators similarly hold ecosystems together, and their presence or absence can determine the structure and health of entire habitats. The reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone National Park provides one of the most spectacular and well-documented examples of a keystone predator's impact. This story has become famous in conservation biology, and for good reason. It demonstrates with unusual clarity how predator-prey relationships ripple through entire ecosystems. Wolves were exterminated from Yellowstone by the early 1920s as part of predator control efforts common at the time. Wildlife managers believed removing large predators would increase populations of game animals like elk. Initially, elk numbers did increase. But over the following decades, scientists began to notice troubling changes in the ecosystem. Without wolves to hunt them, elk populations grew to unsustainable levels. Large herds of elk overgrazed vegetation, particularly in riparian areas, along streams and rivers where tender willow and aspen saplings grow. These young trees couldn't grow because elk ate them as fast as they sprouted. The lack of young trees meant aging forests couldn't regenerate. Aspens and willows began disappearing from large areas of the park. This might seem like a problem mainly for trees, but the effects cascaded throughout the ecosystem. Beavers depend on willows and aspens for food and building material for their dams. Without these trees, beaver populations plummeted. Beaver dams create ponds and wetlands that provide habitat for numerous species: fish, amphibians, waterfowl, aquatic insects. As beavers disappeared, so did these wetland habitats and the species that depended on them. Songbirds that nest in willows and aspens declined in number and diversity. Predatory birds like hawks and eagles had fewer small mammals to hunt, because the habitat complexity that supported diverse small mammal populations was simplified. The riverbanks themselves became unstable because the root systems of willows and other vegetation that once held the soil in place were gone. Erosion increased. Stream channels widened and became shallower. Water temperatures rose, harming cold water fish species like cutthroat trout. In 1995 and 1996, wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone. Only 31 wolves were released initially, and there was significant skepticism about whether such a small number could make a difference in such a large ecosystem. What happened next surprised even the scientists who had advocated for wolf reintroduction. Within a few years, elk behavior changed dramatically. The elk didn't simply decline in number, though that did happen gradually. More importantly, their behavior changed. With wolves present, elk could no longer safely congregate in large herds in open valleys and along riverbanks. Those areas became too dangerous because wolves could easily pursue elk in open terrain. Elk became more vigilant and more mobile, spending less time in any one place. They avoided certain valleys entirely, particularly during times when wolf packs were active in those areas. This shift in elk behavior is called a landscape of fear. Prey animals assess the riskiness of different parts of their environment and modify their behavior accordingly. The presence of predators essentially creates invisible barriers, places where prey fear to linger. In Yellowstone, this meant that willows and aspens in certain areas, particularly along river valleys, finally had a chance to grow without being immediately eaten. The recovery of woody vegetation happened surprisingly quickly. Within 5 years, willow heights along some streams had increased by up to 300%. Aspens began regenerating in areas where young aspens hadn't survived for decades. With vegetation returning, so did the animals that depended on it. Beaver populations recovered and began building dams again. Within a decade, the number of beaver colonies in the park increased 9-fold. As beaver ponds formed, wetland habitat rebounded. Fish populations recovered in the cooler, more stable pond environments. Birds returned, species that hadn't nested in certain areas for half a century. Songbird diversity and abundance increased. Waterfowl found suitable habitat. Amphibians benefited from the new pond habitats. The changes extended even to the physical landscape. With vegetation stabilizing riverbanks, erosion decreased. Stream channels began to narrow and deepen, a process called re-meandering, where streams returned to their natural sinuous patterns. This created diverse aquatic habitats, deep pools, riffles, varied flow patterns, all of which supported different species. Wolves also affected other predator populations. Coyotes, which had increased in the absence of wolves, came under pressure. Wolves kill coyotes when they encounter them, viewing them as competitors. As coyote numbers decreased, populations of small mammals that coyotes prey on, like foxes and weasels, increased. This created opportunities for predatory birds like hawks and eagles, which hunt these small mammals. Even scavengers benefited. Wolf kills provided carrion for ravens, eagles, bears, and countless other species. In winter, when food is scarce, this carrion can be critical for survival. Grizzly bears, which had relied heavily on spawning cutthroat trout, but found this food source depleted in elk-damaged streams, gained a new food source from wolf kills. The Yellowstone wolf reintroduction demonstrates what ecologists call a trophic cascade. This is a process where changes at one level of the food web cascade through multiple other levels. In this case, reintroducing an apex predator at the top of the food chain altered herbivore behavior, which changed vegetation patterns, which affected dozens of other species, from beavers to bears to birds, and even altered the physical landscape through changes in erosion and stream morphology. It's important to note that scientists debate the exact degree to which wolves caused all these changes. Other factors certainly played roles. Climate variations, growing elk populations near the park's boundaries due to successful conservation efforts elsewhere, and changes in park management practices all contributed to ecosystem dynamics. Trophic cascades are rarely simple one-way effects. Ecosystems are complex, with multiple interacting factors. Nevertheless, the Yellowstone story illustrates fundamental principles about predator-prey relationships and ecosystem function. Predators do more than just reduce prey numbers. They change prey behavior, alter habitat use patterns, and through these effects, influence community structure and even landscape features. The presence of predators can maintain biodiversity by preventing any single herbivore species from dominating and overexploiting vegetation. Similar trophic cascades have been documented in other ecosystems. When sea otters were hunted to near extinction along the Pacific coast of North America, sea urchin populations exploded. Urchins are voracious grazers of kelp, and without otters to control their numbers, they overgrazed kelp forests, creating urchin barrens, underwater deserts where diverse kelp forest ecosystems once thrived. When sea otter populations recovered through conservation efforts, urchin numbers declined, and kelp forests regrew, along with the hundreds of species that depend on them. The concept of keystone predators has important implications for conservation. Protecting predators isn't just about saving individual species. It's about maintaining the functional integrity of entire ecosystems. Many people oppose predator conservation because predators sometimes kill livestock or game animals. The Yellowstone example provides evidence that the benefits of predators in terms of ecosystem health and overall biodiversity can far outweigh these costs. Chemical warfare, toxins, and venoms. Let's shift our attention to chemical defenses and weapons, one of the most sophisticated and diverse aspects of predator-prey interactions. Both predators and prey have evolved an astonishing array of chemical compounds for offense and defense. Venom in predators is essentially a tool for subduing prey quickly and efficiently. Consider a snake striking a mouse. If the snake had to physically overpower the mouse through constriction or repeated biting, there would be significant risk. Mice have sharp teeth and can inflict painful, even dangerous bites. But with venom, the snake strikes once, injects chemical cocktail, and waits. Within minutes or even seconds, depending on the venom's potency, the mouse is incapacitated or dead. The snake can safely consume its prey without risk of injury. Snake venoms are incredibly complex, often containing dozens or even hundreds of different proteins and enzymes. Different components serve different functions. Some compounds attack the nervous system, paralyzing prey by blocking nerve signals. Others break down tissues, beginning the digestive process even before the prey is swallowed. Still, others disrupt blood clotting, causing internal bleeding. The specific composition varies among species, reflecting different prey preferences and hunting strategies. Spiders also use venom extensively. The brown recluse spider's venom contains enzymes that break down cell membranes and connective tissue, essentially liquefying the prey's internal structures so the spider can consume them. The black widow's venom contains neurotoxins that cause extreme pain and muscle spasms in vertebrates, though these effects are actually defensive, as black widows primarily hunt insects. But prey animals haven't remained defenseless in this chemical arms race. Many have evolved their own toxic defenses. The poison dart frogs we discussed earlier are extreme examples, but chemical defense is widespread among prey species. Monarch butterflies sequester toxic cardiac glycosides from the milkweed they eat as caterpillars, storing these compounds in their bodies for use as adults. These toxins interfere with heart function in vertebrates. A bird that eats a monarch experiences severe nausea and often vomits. The bird remembers this experience and avoids monarchs in the future, associating their distinctive orange and black pattern with illness. Some insects can synthesize their own defensive compounds. Bombardier beetles produce a complex mixture of chemicals in specialized glands. When threatened, the beetle mixes these chemicals in a reaction chamber, creating a boiling hot, caustic spray that it can aim at attackers with surprising accuracy. The reaction is actually an explosion, powered by the rapid decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. This spray can seriously injure or kill insect predators, and causes pain in larger predators, convincing them to leave the beetle alone. Skunks have perhaps the most famous chemical defense. Their anal scent glands can spray a sulfur-containing compound called thiols up to 10 feet with remarkable accuracy. The smell is not just unpleasant, it's genuinely noxious, causing temporary blindness, nausea, and burning sensations. Most predators quickly learn to avoid the distinctive black and white warning coloration of skunks. Marine environments host some of the most toxic organisms on Earth. The blue-ringed octopus, a small creature that fits in the palm of your hand, carries enough tetrodotoxin to kill multiple adult humans. It uses this venom both for hunting and defense. When disturbed, its normally drab coloration transforms into vivid blue rings, a warning display that signals its dangerous nature. Pufferfish also contain tetrodotoxin, distributed throughout their tissues but concentrated in certain organs like the liver and ovaries. This makes them dangerous to eat, and indeed, pufferfish poisoning can be fatal to humans. Interestingly, pufferfish raised in captivity don't develop toxicity, suggesting they acquire the toxin from their diet rather than producing it themselves, likely from bacteria present in their natural food sources. The Portuguese man-o'-war, often mistaken for a jellyfish, has tentacles loaded with specialized cells called nematocysts. Each nematocyst contains a coiled, barbed thread. When triggered by touch, the thread explodes outward with extraordinary force, the fastest known biological mechanism, impaling the prey and injecting venom. A large man-o'-war can have hundreds of thousands of nematocysts. Even dead specimens washed up on beaches can deliver painful stings if touched. Prey can also use chemical signals for communication, rather than direct defense. Many prey species release alarm pheromones when injured or frightened. These chemicals alert other members of their species to danger. Fish release alarm substances from specialized skin cells when injured, warning schoolmates to flee. Aphids release alarm pheromones when attacked by predators, causing nearby aphids to drop from plants or move away. Some prey species can even manipulate predator behavior through chemicals. Certain caterpillars, when attacked by parasitic wasps, emit chemicals that attract other predators to come and attack the wasps, essentially calling in reinforcements to defend against their enemy. The chemical arms race between predators and prey continues to generate extraordinary diversity. As predators evolve more potent venoms, prey evolve resistance or deterrent chemicals. As prey develop toxic defenses, predators evolve tolerance or ways to avoid the toxins. This back and forth has been happening for millions of years and shows no signs of stopping. Unusual tactics, the unexpected and the surprising. Not all predator-prey interactions fit neatly into the categories we've discussed. Nature, in its endless creativity, has produced strategies that seem almost too clever, too elaborate, or too strange to be real. Let's explore some of these unusual tactics that remind us that evolution can generate solutions we would never think to design. Playing dead, called thanatosis, seems counterintuitive as a defense mechanism. After all, many predators are scavengers willing to eat carrion. But for certain prey species in specific situations, feigning death works remarkably well. Opossums are famous for playing possum, entering a catatonic state when threatened. They become completely limp, their tongue hangs out, they emit a foul smell from anal glands, and they can remain in this state for hours. Many predators prefer fresh kills and will leave what appears to be a corpse alone. Once the predator leaves, the opossum revives and escapes. Hognose snakes take death feigning to theatrical levels. When threatened, they first try intimidation, flattening their necks like cobras, hissing loudly, and making mock strikes with closed mouths. If this doesn't work, they flip onto their backs, open their mouths, let their tongues hang out, and lie completely still. They even emit foul-smelling musk, and may produce drops of blood from their mouths. This elaborate performance convinces many predators that the snake is diseased or dead, and thus not worth eating. Distraction displays represent another surprising tactic. Ground-nesting birds, like killdeer, famously perform broken wing displays when predators approach their nests. The adult bird moves away from the nest, dragging a wing as if injured, calling loudly, appearing to be an easy target. A predator, attracted by what seems like vulnerable prey, follows the bird away from the nest. Once the predator is sufficiently far from the eggs or chicks, the bird suddenly recovers, flying away strongly, having successfully lured the threat away from its offspring. Some prey species use flash coloration, hidden colors that are suddenly revealed. Many moths have drab outer wings that provide camouflage at rest, but brightly colored hind wings hidden beneath. When a predator gets too close, the moth suddenly opens its wings, flashing the bright colors. This startles the predator for a crucial moment, allowing the moth to escape. Some flash colors include eye spot patterns that may make the predator think it's facing a much larger animal. Autotomy, the ability to deliberately shed body parts, provides escape for numerous species. Lizards can drop their tails when grabbed by predators. The detached tail continues to wiggle vigorously, holding the predator's attention while the lizard escapes. The tail eventually regrows, though not to its original condition. Sea cucumbers can expel their internal organs through their anus when threatened, leaving these sticky masses to entangle and distract predators while the sea cucumber crawls away. Remarkably, they can regenerate these lost organs over several months. Some animals have evolved to exploit predator psychology. The peacock mantis shrimp lives in burrows and defends its home aggressively. These crustaceans have incredibly powerful club-like appendages that can strike with the force of a bullet, generating temperatures comparable to the surface of the sun for a brief instant. They have been known to shatter aquarium glass. Many potential predators simply avoid mantis shrimp burrows entirely, having learned or instinctively knowing that attacking one is dangerous. Mimicry extends beyond simple appearance. Some prey species mimic predators' sounds or behaviors. The great grey shrike, a prey bird, has learned to imitate the calls of predatory hawks. When danger threatens, the shrike's hawk calls cause other birds to flee, creating chaos that the shrike can use to escape. Some harmless king snakes have evolved to look remarkably similar to deadly coral snakes, complete with similar banding patterns, gaining protection through resembling a dangerous species. Aggressive mimicry occurs when predators, rather than prey, do the mimicking. The alligator snapping turtle has a pink appendage on its tongue that resembles a worm. The turtle lies motionless on the bottom of murky water, with its mouth open, wiggling this lure. Fish, attracted to what they think is a worm, swim into the turtle's mouth and are snapped up. Anglerfish use a similar strategy, with a modified spine that extends from their head like a fishing pole, complete with a lure that glows via bioluminescence in the deep sea, attracting prey to within striking distance. Zone-tailed hawks fly among flocks of turkey vultures, which they resemble in flight profile and coloration. Small animals don't flee from turkey vultures, which eat only carrion and pose no threat to living prey. The hawks exploit this, suddenly breaking from the vulture flock to strike unsuspecting prey that didn't recognize the hawk among the harmless vultures. Fireflies use light signals to communicate and find mates, with different species having different flashing patterns. Female Photurus fireflies have learned to imitate the flash patterns of other firefly species. When males of these other species approach, expecting to find a mate, the Photurus female captures and eats them. This aggressive mimicry doubles as both predatory strategy and elimination of competing species. These unusual tactics remind us that predator-prey relationships have been shaped by hundreds of millions of years of evolution, generating solutions that often seem impossibly clever or elaborate. Each represents a lineage's unique answer to the fundamental challenges of hunting or avoiding being hunted, shaped by the specific ecology, evolutionary history, and physical constraints of the organism. The mathematics of balance, population dynamics. Let's shift perspective again, moving from individual adaptations to population-level patterns. Predator-prey relationships create distinctive patterns in population sizes over time, patterns that ecologists have studied mathematically for nearly a century. In the 1920s, mathematician Alfred Lotka and mathematician Vito Volterra independently developed equations to describe predator-prey population dynamics. These Lotka-Volterra equations capture essential features of how predator and prey populations influence each other over time. The basic insight is this: when prey are abundant, predators have plenty to eat. Predator populations grow, but as predator numbers increase, they capture and eat more prey, causing prey populations to decline. With less food available, predator populations then begin to decline. With fewer predators, prey populations can recover and begin increasing again. This creates a cycle where both populations oscillate, with predator peaks lagging behind prey peaks. One of the most famous examples of predator-prey cycles comes from nearly a century of fur trapping records from the Hudson's Bay Company in Canada. Trappers kept careful records of snowshoe hare and Canada lynx furs. These records reveal a striking pattern. Populations of both species oscillate with a period of about 10 years. When hare populations peak, lynx populations are increasing. When hare populations crash, lynx populations decline a year or two later. Then, with fewer lynx, hare populations recover, and the cycle begins again. This example is used in virtually every ecology textbook, but it's worth noting that real predator-prey dynamics are usually much more complex than simple two-species models suggest. Lynx eat other prey besides hares. Hares are limited not just by lynx predation, but also by food availability and other factors. Multiple predator species hunt hares. The 10-year cycle probably involves complex interactions among many species and environmental factors, not just the simple dynamic of lynx eating hares. Nevertheless, predator-prey population cycles are real phenomena observed in many systems. They remind us that predator-prey relationships operate at the population level as well as the individual level. Even though individual predation events are matters of life and death, the overall populations of predators and prey maintain a dynamic balance over time. This balance is not static. Populations fluctuate, sometimes dramatically, but over long time periods, predator and prey populations tend to stay in rough balance with each other and with their environment's carrying capacity. Remove the predators, and prey populations explode, often with disastrous consequences for the ecosystem. Remove the prey, and predator populations crash. The mathematics of predator-prey dynamics have been extended and refined over the decades since Lotka and Volterra. Modern models incorporate factors like age structure in populations, variation in individual vulnerability, multiple prey or predator species, spatial structure in habitats, and environmental fluctuations. These more complex models better match real-world observations and help us understand the full richness of predator-prey interactions. One important insight from mathematical models is that predator-prey systems can exhibit different dynamic patterns depending on the specific parameters. Some systems show stable equilibria, where populations settle at constant levels. Others show stable cycles, regularly oscillating like the lynx hare system. Still others can exhibit chaotic dynamics, where populations fluctuate unpredictably despite following deterministic rules. The specific pattern depends on factors like prey reproductive rate, predator efficiency, environmental productivity, and how predators and prey respond to changes in each other's abundance. These mathematical models have practical applications. Wildlife managers use predator-prey models to understand and predict population changes. Conservation biologists use them to assess how predator loss or reintroduction might affect ecosystems. Even human disease dynamics, where pathogens act as predators on human hosts, can be modeled using modified predator-prey equations. The take-home message is that predator-prey relationships create characteristic patterns, not just in individual adaptations, but in population dynamics over time. These patterns reflect the fundamental biology of how predators and prey interact, and mathematics helps us understand and predict these patterns. Conclusion: the eternal dance. As we near the end of our journey tonight, let's take a moment to reflect on what predator-prey relationships mean for life on Earth. These interactions are not mere footnotes in the story of evolution. They are central to understanding how life has diversified, how ecosystems function, and how the natural world maintains its balance. Every adaptation we've discussed tonight, from the cheetah's speed to the butterfly's warning colors, from the snake's venom to the hare's camouflage, exists because of millions of years of predation pressure. Predator-prey relationships are engines of evolution, constantly pushing both predators and prey to evolve better strategies, sharper senses, more effective defenses, more efficient hunting techniques. This endless arms race has generated the spectacular diversity of life forms we see around us. There are approximately 8.7 million species on Earth, and while not all relationships between them are predator-prey, these interactions have played a crucial role in driving the evolution of most animal species. Every ecosystem on the planet is structured, at least in part, by who eats whom. But predator-prey relationships are more than just evolutionary engines. They're also essential components of healthy ecosystems. Predators control prey populations, preventing overgrazing and overbrowsing that would damage plant communities. This, in turn, maintains habitat quality for countless other species. The trophic cascades we discussed show that the effects of predation ripple through entire food webs, influencing species that don't directly interact with either predators or prey. The balance between predators and prey is not fixed, but dynamic, constantly adjusting to changing conditions. When environments change, predator-prey relationships adjust too. This adaptability is one reason ecosystems can be resilient to disturbance. But it also means that human impacts, which are often rapid and severe, can disrupt these relationships with cascading consequences. Understanding predator-prey relationships has important implications for how we manage and conserve natural systems. Protecting predators is not just about preserving species we find charismatic or impressive. It's about maintaining the ecological processes that keep ecosystems healthy and functional. The Yellowstone wolves remind us that predators can have benefits far beyond their direct effects on prey populations. Similarly, recognizing that prey species are not passive victims, but have evolved sophisticated defenses, helps us appreciate the complexity of these relationships. A prey animal's camouflage, or its alarm calls, represent millions of years of evolutionary refinement, solutions to the problem of survival that are as elegant and worthy of admiration as any predator's hunting prowess. As we've explored tonight, the relationship between predator and prey is one of nature's most intimate and consequential partnerships. Hunter and hunted are locked in an ancient dance that has shaped them both. Neither can exist without the other. Predators need prey as their food source, but prey populations also benefit from predation in less obvious ways. Predators often remove sick and weak individuals, improving the overall health of prey populations. They prevent over-exploitation of food resources by keeping prey populations in check. This paradox, that prey species benefit from having predators even though individual prey obviously suffer from predation, highlights the difference between individual and population-level perspectives in ecology. What's bad for an individual may benefit the population or species as a whole. Evolution operates at multiple levels simultaneously, creating complexity that continues to fascinate researchers. As you drift off to sleep tonight, perhaps you'll dream of the African savanna at twilight, where we began, the lioness in the grass, the zebras grazing nearby. But now you see this scene differently. It's not just a moment of tension between hunter and hunted. It's a snapshot of an ancient relationship that has shaped both species over millions of years. The lioness's patience, her amber eyes, her tawny coat that blends with the grass. These are gifts from generations of ancestors who survived by hunting successfully. The zebra's stripes, their large eyes on the sides of their heads, their powerful legs ready to flee. These too are inheritances from countless generations who survived by escaping or avoiding predators. The relationship continues. It will continue long after we're gone, as long as lions and zebras exist. And beyond them, similar dances play out between every predator and prey species on Earth. From the smallest parasitoid wasp pursuing its insect host to the great white shark-hunting seals. Each relationship unique in its details, but sharing the same fundamental dynamic. One organism trying to eat, another trying not to be eaten, both shaped by their interaction into the forms we see today. This is the balance of survival. It's not peaceful, it's not gentle, but it is profound, beautiful in its complexity, essential to the functioning of life on Earth. By understanding these relationships, we gain insight into the mechanisms that have generated the diversity of life, the processes that maintain ecological balance, and our own place in a world shaped by millions of years of predation and defense. If you found tonight's exploration of predator and prey relationships as fascinating as I did, please take a moment to like this video. It truly helps others discover this content and supports the creation of more episodes. Subscribe to Bedtime Biology so you won't miss future journeys into the wonders of the natural world. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from tonight. Are there predator-prey relationships in your region that particularly interest you? What questions about these relationships would you like to see explored in future episodes? Thank you for joining me on this journey through the balance of survival. May your dreams be filled with the wonders of the natural world, and may you rest well knowing that even in the harshness of predation, there is a deep and ancient beauty that has shaped life itself. Until next time, sleep well and stay curious.